What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special episode of the 312 Podcast in our new studios here downtown Chicago. With us, we have our very first in-studio guest, Mr. David Kaplan. How's it going, Cap?
Great to be here with you guys, and they can never take that away from me. You know,
Always.
I'm always going to be the first guy that came in your studio.
We should get like a big 8x11 headshot. Sign it,
That's
put it on the wall.
Right there, the first guest.
Also with us is Adam Nissen, one of our Cubs guys here at Sports Mockery. What's going on, Adam?
What's going on? How we doing?
Doing well. So today we're obviously going to be talking a whole lot of Cubs stuff, a lot to get to. We're also going to dive into Cap's book, The Plan. If you haven't gotten yourself a copy, you should. You can also win yourself a free copy by sharing this Facebook Live feed with the rest of your Chicago sports fans on social media. But the big story going on thus far today in Chicago is news that Cap here actually broke on his show, Cap & Co., ESPN 1000, weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon. Kyle Schwarber's going to the DL.
Yeah,
not the DL, the minors. What do you have to say about that?
Well, first of all, I got to give you guys a little bit of an assist because I was hearing rumors that they had been meeting, discussing, should we do this, should we not do this? And then I'm sitting there on the air, we're at break, and I look, and something from Sports Mockery pops up because I follow you guys because I love what you do. And there it is that the security guard said he was carrying his bats, and I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for 3 decades. You don't take your bats with you. You just don't. And so I made another call. I talked to somebody with the Iowa Cubs. He's like, we're in Round Rock. We had travel troubles. He's not here. I made another call, and it sounded like done deal, and then we went with it.
Right. And based on your reaction on Twitter and on the air earlier today, it sounds like you think this is a smart move. You were sort of giving the logical point of view to Cubs fans who are panicking about this. Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous idea. He's struggling.
Yeah.
He's pressing. You know, Mike Trout had to go back twice. Todd Hollinsworth, my old partner, was Rookie of the Year, and 8 months later was back in the minor leagues. David DeJesus played 13 years back in the minors. Greg Maddux sent back to the minors. Been some great players that this happens to. It's not a death sentence. It's a way to restart your career.
Right. Adam, would you agree?
I would. I think, like Cap said, you know, he's pressing at the plate. You can tell he's pressing. I think it's a good chance for him to, you know, get his head together, maybe work on something mechanically. You know, I'm not sure exactly what he's going to go down for. But you can clearly tell he's pressing at the plate. So I think it's a great move, and I'm excited to see when he comes back.
I mean, I'm picturing, and this is just me, but I'm picturing Schwarber just destroying minor league pitchers. I mean, is that the hope to sort of just get some of that confidence back?
Yeah, 100%. That he goes down there and just destroys people.
Right.
I don't think it's so much mechanical. It's, oh boy, I got to get a hit here. Oh, there's Matt. And it just hasn't worked. It's feast or famine right now.
And Cal, what do you think the difference is taking bats at Des Moines versus Wrigley Field? I mean, is he out of the spotlight now in Des Moines, and he can, you know, kind of focus on getting back to what he's doing?
In today's age of social media and minor league TV, people are still going to know what's going on, but it's not every day at Wrigley.
Right.
A. B, you're not facing as good a pitching. You're just not.
Right.
Because if those guys were that good, they wouldn't be there. They'd be up here. So I think it makes it easier on him. He just needs some success, start to believe in himself. Hollinsworth told me they sent him down for, I think he said 18 days. He hit 378 and went back and never went back to the minors again.
Right. Do you think that the pressure of being in that leadoff spot, which is something that Schwarber was unfamiliar with, do you think that has anything to do with this?
No question.
Yeah.
I think that was one. Then he started to press. Then the team. See, if the team was off to a 25-6 start again, everyone's like, yeah, relax, we're good.
Right.
But all of a sudden, you're 1 under, you're 1 over, you're back to 500, you're back to 1 under. It's like it has never gotten into overdrive.
Right.
So it magnified him.
So when they bring him back up, where do you see Joe trying to put him back in that lineup?
Oh, I would guess 6, 7, 5.
Similar spots where he was playing last season?
Yeah, I think that Theo said today he still sees a scenario where he could be a leadoff guy again. Just
you can't take that away from Rizzo now. I mean, come on now.
But he's going to end up back in the middle of the lineup.
You think so?
Rizzo,
Yeah.
he'll be back in the 3-hole.
All right, so who's leading off then, Adam?
Without Rizzo,
Yeah.
I'm a Rizzo leadoff advocate. Early in the season, I thought it'd be John Jay. I love John Jay. I love his game. I thought Almora at one point had a shot. But what Rizzo's done the last, 2 weeks, week and a half, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it can't continue, though.
Yeah, right. So, you know, moving him back down to his cleanup spot, you know, Zobrist is going to come back. I think they have options is the good thing. I just don't foresee it being Schwarber when he comes back.
And all of the hype around Rizzo and his crazy streak leading off, and now this latest news about Schwarber being sent down, I feel like people have just at least a little bit forgotten about the big Addison Russell story and the struggles he's gone through earlier this season, obviously dealing with some off-the-field issues. What's your latest take on what Addie's dealing with on and off the field?
Well, as a guy who's gone through a divorce, it is not a fun process. I mean, it is not. But I thought it made me better at my job going through that. Not that I advocate getting a divorce to be better at work, but it was my respite. It was my
Something
my
to focus on.
Like, it was away from hearing from my lawyer,
Right.
talking to my ex-wife, all of that. So I think look, he's 23. I was 38 when I got divorced. There's a
Right.
big difference in maturity, you would think. But at some point, Pete Rose said he had his best year when he was getting divorced. He just focused and he just did his job. You got to show up and you got to do your job, so you may as well do it well.
It seems like people were at least talking about the fact that his off-the-field issues and his marriage falling apart was the reason that he was struggling. You're saying he should try to flip that, but like, what do you need to do to channel that? If the reason he's been struggling on the field is because he's got all this stuff going on in the back of his mind, how do you harness that as a ball player?
Because while you're going through that, before they decide they're going to separate, it's just all this crap swirling out there. Yeah. Now it's the new normal. This is his life. She's gone, whether that's his fault, her fault. We don't know what went on in their marriage. But now this is life now.
Right.
You're moving on. He got his own place to live. And now you got to show up. You got to pay the bills. You're going to have a lot of responsibilities with your child, with your ex-wife to be, with lawyers.
Right.
You better show up and do your job.
Right. If you're just now joining us live, a special episode of the 312 podcast with in-studio guest David Kaplan. Adam, I'm going to toss it to you now. I don't know what to do about John Lackey. I am freaking the hell out about what the Cubs need to do. There's obviously lots of talk around town with what the Cubs need to do, adding a pitcher to that rotation if they're really going to try to make another run at this. They're really fortunate that the rest of the NL Central is so poor that they're still within reach of what needs to be done. But there's a lot of different rumors about pitchers that they're looking to add. What would you like to see Theo try to do?
So the Lackey, I call it the Lackey conundrum. Going into his last start, he actually pitched pretty well. So going into that, I was a little nervous about Lackey. I think he's been a serviceable pitcher, but this year he's obviously struggling. Sonny Gray, I've heard his name come out. Chris Archer. I haven't looked at what that would require giving up yet. But those are obviously the two names that I would like to see join the Cubs.
And that's the flip side of that discussion is, all right, the Cubs need to add another arm in that rotation, but what are you willing to give up for it? Cap. People are talking about maybe giving up Happ or Eloy Jimenez. How badly do you think they need to add another arm before the deadline, and are you willing to give up pieces like that to do it?
They have to add two arms because Lackey's gone at the end of the year.
Yep.
100%. Brett Anderson, who knows if he's ever going to pitch again. So no idea what's going on there. We don't know what the deal is with Hendricks and his hand. Right. He still has not made it back. Jake Arrieta hasn't been great, and he's going to be a free agent. You got to add two. One for me is a rental, and one for me is a long-term controllable asset. But I'm not giving up Eloy Jimenez. First of all, the Tampa Bay Rays are in the hunt. They're only 2.5, 3 games back.
Right.
They're not ready to start selling. What do you say to your fan base if they're coming to the ballpark and they're like, wow, we win tonight, we're 2 out of 4. What? You just traded our best player?
We're in sales mode,
Right.
Fire
so I don't see Chris Archer right now. And if Tampa goes on a slide, maybe. But I think you can go out there and find somebody, whether that's Sonny Gray. They just released Stephen Vogt, who was a catcher for them. The last 2 years he's been in the All-Star game, and they designated him for assignment today.
Right.
So Oakland's in overhaul mode.
Yes.
Right.
So I would pluck that carcass. I would see what goes on with Kansas City. If they continue to play good baseball, they won't do anything. If not, they're going to be in sale mode. Maybe Danny Duffy's available.
The other thing I've been thinking about as we get closer to that, and it seems like a more obvious growing need, is Theo Epstein is the untouchable god of Chicago right now, even more than anybody in the Bowman family. I mean, Theo is the king. Will there be any kind of backlash or pressure put on him if he doesn't get the right pieces at the deadline? Or is he still, if they come up short and they don't get the right pieces, does Theo get a pass? Because obviously we're the defending world champs right now.
Well, he just signed a 5-year, $50 million deal. There's no heat whatsoever. He's going to make a determination at the end of July. Can this team make a run? And if he looks and goes, it's just not going to happen, he is not going to overpay to get pitching unless it's controllable.
Right. All right, Adam, I believe you had at least 1 or 2 questions for Cap
Yeah.
about his book. The book is The Plan, Epstein, Madden, and the Audacious Blueprint for the Cubs Dynasty. Boom, right there.
There you go. So Cap, I think in the book, first off, it's a great read. So Cubs fans, if you haven't had it and you don't have it, pick it up. One of the best Cubs books I've read in a long time. So I actually read it when I went to Boston to watch Cubs Red Sox. So on the plane there and back, I was able to get through it. So great book. The thing that kind of stood out to me with it, I thought you did an outstanding job of really focusing on right when Theo came on. I don't know if Cubs fans really understand the state that the Cubs were in pre-Theo in terms of their farm system.
Brutal.
And, I mean, some of the statistics that were in there, drafting in the top 5 of the last 11 drafts. I mean, that's unheard of.
And none of the guys made the major leagues.
And they all were terrible. They were terrible. So you brought a good point up that, when you miss on those picks, it sets your franchise back
killer.
years. So, could you just shed some light onto that, the impact of Theo? I mean, I think everyone knows how big Theo is, but, some of the stuff in the book that you talked about, kind of his vision and his ideas, can you kind of shed some light on?
Yeah, when he met with Tom Ricketts, he met in his parents. His parents own a condo overlooking Central Park, all glassed in, and so Theo flies to New York because they don't want to meet in Boston, they don't want to meet in Chicago. He shows up at the apartment. Tom's already there. Nobody sees them together, and they have a chef there. Chef cooks him dinner. They watch the playoffs, and they talk philosophy. And he tells Tom, hey, man, I looked at your system. It's awful. And it's going to have
No sugarcoating.
None. You're going to have to blow this thing up. And it's not a 1 or 2 year overhaul here. And Tom said, I'm in. He goes, okay, just understand 6 months, a year, 2 years, the media is going to say, you don't want to win, you're cheap, we don't know what we're doing. I got to know that you're going to be able to take all the slings and arrows, or I can't do this. And Tom said, I got your back. You let them rip me. You just go do what you need to do.
Right.
And he came in.
Yeah.
Theo said the way it used to be done, and a lot of teams did this, they go see you play. And they say, hey, I watched Matt pitch tonight. He threw 108 pitches, 34 curveballs, 68 fastballs, so many changeups. He threw really well. He topped out at 95 on a voicemail. Thanks, see ya. And they'd hang up.
Wow.
And then the scouting director, the GM, they would listen to it. Okay, great, thanks. And then they would erase it. Well, what about if 9 months from now, what did I think of Matt when I saw him that time? I cannot quite remember. I know we liked him. Well, with Theo, it's like a 500-word essay that they write on C&U. And then 2 weeks later, they go see you again. They write the same 500-word essay.
Right.
It all goes into a computer program called Ivy, and then they compare it. And maybe 12 years from now, they're going to make a trade. And they go, we saw that Matt kid from the Red Sox 12 years ago in high school. Bring those reports back. Oh, we did not like his demeanor on the mound.
Bad
and that's
demeanor.
still a problem.
Awful demeanor.
Bad demeanor.
Accurate.
Awful.
That's accurate.
And so it's just a different way of doing business.
Right, right.
And that's what they've done. They've overhauled the entire infrastructure.
Well, and some of that too, I think you touched on already. I found it fascinating the depths that their scouts go into with talking to prospects about, what's his demeanor in the classroom? How many classes does he miss? Is there any discipline issues? It's not just, can you throw 98? So looking at the stuff Theo implemented, I was blown away at just the depth. And like you said, the 500-word essay, it's incredible to think about that each prospect is so thoroughly vetted. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it's funny, when I was a college basketball coach, the person that I would try and get closest to when I was recruiting a player, I'm recruiting you, I went up to the student manager, who usually is not the coolest kid in school.
Right.
Well, how does that player treat that kid? And is he a jerk to that kid? No, they're really tight. It told me a lot about his character. He had empathy. He was trying to help someone who might not have been as popular as the basketball star in the school. And you could learn a lot about who's really in there.
Right.
Who's the decision maker in his life?
Right.
What's that kid like away from the basketball court?
Yeah.
It's kind of similar stuff.
I'm really curious about the timeline of you writing this book, because obviously you release it at a great time. The Cubs are World Series champs. Everybody wants to ingest as much Cubs information and social media that's out there. Everybody wants to talk about it. But correct me if I'm wrong, there was a previous working title to this book, and you sort of adjusted that. And was there a shift in focus of when you began writing this and what you wanted the book to be to what it ended up being when it was finalized.
No, funny story. So February of 16, my agent calls me, Steve Mandel.
Mm-hmm.
He says, hey, would you be interested in writing a book on the 2016 season? Because they're good, they're coming off the NLCS. And I said, nope, no interest. He's like, you're an idiot. You got to write a book. It's really good for you, and you should do this. You got great access. I'm like, Steve, if they win, and they're going to, they're winning the World Series this year, there's going to be 4 billion picture books and videos and everything.
Right.
Why is that going to stand out? A little better access, yes, but there's going to be so many of them. He gets the publisher on the phone, and the guy tries to pitch me on doing it. I said, not interested. Now, you want to write a book on how they built this thing? No one else is doing that. I'm in. He's like, yeah, but if they don't win, who's going to read a plan that didn't end up in a World Series? I said, I'll promise you they're winning the World Series. This is February of 16. And he said,
Ballsy.
yeah, he goes,
That's a bold
well, it's
claim.
only been 108 years. Why are you going to be right? I said, this guy Mitch, I said, Mitch, just trust me. They're going to win this year. I'm telling you. I remember the 84 Bears losing in the NFC title game. I remember the 85 Bears having this historic season. I'm telling you, I see a lot of similarities. He's like, all right, I'm going to roll the dice. We're in. So I say to them, and I have the email, let's call this thing The Plan or the Cubs Way. And he's like, nah, I don't like that. So they name it Lovable Winners. And I'm like, this name sucks.
No,
Yeah,
that's terrible.
I thought it was a little cheesy. I
Yeah,
did.
I'm like,
That's terrible.
It's not real compelling. So now they meet with Costco, Sam's Club, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all these book buyers who make or break you
Right.
are in a meeting with them. And they're like, yeah, we really like the content because I gave them like a syllabus with some early chapter stuff. And they go, but we hate the name. And he's like, you do? What do you like? And they start brainstorming. They call me. They're like, we're going to change the name. We've got an idea. Let's call it The Plan. And I go, check my email. March of 16.
We've already
That's
had
what
that.
You don't have an idea. I have an idea.
That's what I said to you guys. So they put Lovable Winners is on the back, which is okay.
Oh,
That's
yeah?
fine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
They-
nice little tagline there.
Right over the parade. I get
Yeah.
it, the rally. But the plan is what they had. And it turned out Tom Verducci wrote The Cubs
Yeah.
Way, so I'm glad I didn't have the
Yes.
same name.
Yeah.
And the plan works.
So, rain delay, Game 7. You sweating bullets saying, I guarantee they're going to win it all. I'm writing this book about how they won it all. What if that rain delay doesn't go the way it goes? What if Schwarber doesn't get that leadoff hit? What if they lose Game 7? What happens to this
Okay,
book?
so I'm in Cleveland.
So was I.
Yeah.
I was there.
And that day, I go to the Starbucks at the Westin where the team was staying.
Okay.
And there's Zobrist in line. Justin Grimm's standing with me in line. I'm like, are we good? And they both said, dude, we got this. We're going to win tonight. And then I saw Theo, and he's like, don't go on the air and say I said this, but we've got this. We're good. I've been around. I'm telling you we're going to win. So I would have bet $1 billion if I had it. If I was in Vegas, I would have taken all my money and gone, Cubs are going to win tonight.
Wow.
And so it's 5-1, and Todd Hollingsworth and I didn't have seats at the game. We did not have tickets, but we had our credential. Press box is 3,000
Madhouse.
people with
Yeah.
40 seats.
Madhouse.
Madhouse. So we had suit and tie on, obviously, so we sneak into the home plate club, and we get a table. We're there. We buy some food to eat, and we watch on these 2 big monitors. And every time we score, we're high-fiving, and the Cleveland fans are screaming at us. They don't like it. So now it gets to be 6-3 after Ross's homer. Top of the 8th ends. Holly says to me, dude, let's go out to our set, which is right outside the stadium. He goes, let's go out, and let's get out of here before we get ourselves in trouble. Because we got people yelling at us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all we need is to get in
Yeah.
a fight.
You don't want to push your luck. I've been thrown out of Madison
I'd be
Square
all
Garden.
over
You never
Sports
want to push your
Mockery
luck.
and Deadspin.
There you go.
What I don't need.
Oh, yeah, we'd definitely get that and throw it up on social
No
media
question.
instantly.
So we go out to our set, and we have a TV out there that's delayed somewhere 10 to 15 seconds. Well, I don't want to watch 10 to 15 seconds delayed. So I walk to the back of our set right by the street, and I can hear the radio call from the stadium speakers. And they get a hit. Now here comes Brandon Geyer, and he gets a double, and it's 6-4. And I'm pacing back and forth. And Hollingsworth's one of my best friends. I love him. But he doesn't get it. He played here. And he's like, dude, relax. What are you pacing for?
Really?
And my late
Wow.
father was a lawyer. This is the gavel my mom gave when they got engaged in 1958. So when he died, I took this, and I'm holding it, and I'm rubbing it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, Dad, it can't be this cruel. It cannot be. We cannot blow this game. And Holly's laughing at me, and I said, dude, you don't get it. You were a mercenary here. All you did was take our money. You don't get what a Cub fan is living and dying.
Yeah, you don't understand the pain.
More than any team in any sport, prior to last year, there were no done deals with the Chicago Cubs. They could be up 100-0 with 2 outs in the ninth, and they could find a way to foobar this whole thing.
Yeah.
So
up however many games with however many games left in the season, what that 80-something season.
It doesn't matter. So I'm listening, and now I hear Tom Hamilton, the voice of the Indians, who's awesome. I hear him go, swung on and belted, line drive to deep left. And I turn to Todd, I go, they just effing tied it. And he doesn't know this because he's watching a delayed TV.
Oh, God.
And he's like, yeah, funny guy. And then all of a sudden, boom, there are the fireworks.
Yeah.
And I literally thought I was going to throw up. And it wasn't because I had a book coming out. I mean, that was in my mind. I really wanted
You had to be thinking about it a little bit.
A little, but it was my team. My heart was beating out there on the set.
Yeah.
And now it's 6-6, and he can't believe it. And he's looking at me. He's like, oh, my God, now I get what you're talking about. I'm like, thank you. Welcome to a Cubs fan.
Yeah, welcome to my life.
A quick glimpse.
That game was a microcosm of what it meant to be a Cubs fan until it got washed away by the rain, and we won.
Right. The book is The Plan, Epstein, Madden, The Audacious Blueprint for a Cubs Dynasty. Cap, you want to do us a favor and sign this copy? We're going to give away for free later.
100%.
All you got to do to enter to get this signed, autographed David Kaplan copy of his book, The Plan, just click that share button on Facebook right now for our Facebook live feed. And Cap, before we let you out of here, I would not be doing my job as the Bulls guy at SM if I didn't get your take on this draft we got coming up in just a few hours tonight. Are you on team sell Jimmy Butler and start over, or do you want them to keep Jimmy and build around him?
I don't know if they're capable of building around him. That's A.
The they is Gar, Foreman, and John Paxson, by the way.
Yeah, I'm more on Team John than I am Team Gar.
Agreed.
Gar brought Fred in. Gar has had more say the last years. John's kind of stepped back. So I think John and his brother Jim are actually exercising some more influence on this team. Look, if you tell me they can build around Jimmy, I'm all in because I like a guy who wants to be here, plays at both ends, all of it. However, who are you getting at 16? That's a crapshoot that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to end up. He went 15, but you're going to get that kind of guy.
Right.
But I don't trade him unless the trade is a slam dunk where you go, I get it, they had to do it. To say I'm just going to trade him to hit the reset button, it's not going to be very much fun if we're 10 and 60, 10 and 72 next year.
The opposite of the best season ever.
Right.
Yeah, and Paxson did refer to that in their end-of-season press conference. He said, we're not going to sell Jimmy and press the rebuild button just to do it. And we know how valuable he is. So what we've seen in the last couple hours or so on Twitter, all of our various sources, Woj here, there, looks like Cavs are out. Not getting Jimmy. Looks like the Celtics have put their focus on Kristaps Porzingis of the Knicks. Minnesota, good old Tom Thibodeau over there in Minnesota, looks like the most likely candidate for a midnight hour Jimmy Butler deal. What are your thoughts on Gar and Pax trying to swing a deal with their former coach?
See, look, I'm a huge Thibs guy. And full disclosure, he's a good friend of mine. I love Tom. For whatever reason, it didn't work here, and I cannot believe that two intelligent executives and an intelligent basketball coach, everybody made mistakes here. Tom wasn't without some culpability, and the Bulls certainly were not without culpability. How you don't say, guys, let's take 3 days, let's go up to Lake Geneva, let's have a little retreat here, and let's work this out. We got to figure out a way to make this work, because you're too good a basketball coach, and we've put pretty good players here at that point. We got to make this work. And for whatever reason, it didn't happen, and they fired Tom. I just would love to be listening to Gar and Tom talk on the phone, because I think that'd be hilarious.
Just being a fly on that wall right now,
Yeah.
It would be delightful. I mean, you have to imagine, and to Tibbs' credit, and he's come on and been a guest on your various shows throughout the years, and he's, since being kicked out the door, been nothing but overly gracious about his time in Chicago, which obviously I find to be a highly reputable way to handle things, like taking a high road, even though he certainly doesn't have to.
Correct.
Do you think that any previous animosities would become a factor in a deal between those two sides?
No, I don't. If you're a professional at that point, like you're not exchanging pleasantries. It's, okay, hey, man, you want him? Here's what we need. Well, I can't give you that, but I can give you this. Well, how about adding that? I mean, if you can't put your personal nonsense to the side on either side,
Right.
you shouldn't have that job.
Right.
Right. All right, Adam. More of a ballpark guy, less of a hoops guy. But for the generic Bulls fans out there who kind of probably tuned in and out this season, weren't watching all 82 games, unlike my poor self. Keep Jimmy, trade Jimmy. Like, what would obviously draw your interest to your second or third favorite sport as a casual fan next season?
So as a self-proclaimed baseball guy, I would like to see Jimmy go.
Really?
I'm a big fan of the rebuild process. Now, how that looks in
I wonder why.
how that looks in basketball, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. But I don't know if Jimmy is that player that the Bulls should be building around, and that's from the casual fan standpoint.
Fair enough.
I would like to see him go. I would like to see the Bulls, get some draft picks, maybe get a couple additional players. But that's what I would like to see happen.
Okay. All right, and Cap, last one for you. Assuming that they don't pull any crazy moves, they stick there with that 16th pick in the first round tonight. Any guys that you would like to see them draft in particular?
At 16?
At 16.
Wow. There's the Ferguson kid.
Terrence Ferguson, played a year pro in Australia.
Yeah. I mean, he would be a guy that I would take a look at. No one you're getting at 16 is going to have a big impact in 17, 18.
Which Paxton said.
They're not.
Yeah.
It's almost like, because you're the youngest draft in NBA history, it's almost like a baseball draft.
Right.
I mean, I scouted for 4 years in that league, and you would go see, when I did it, boy, that guy's a senior. I want to take him. There's no seniors worth anything left.
I mean, really, UNC's Justin Jackson, a junior, he's also been on a lot of Bulls draft boards. He's really the one guy that's first draft quality, or first round of the draft quality, who actually has multiple years of experience. Most of them are one and dones.
Yeah, I mean, would I like to see Lauri Markkanen here? Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. He's got to get stronger. He's got to get tougher. But if I'm going to have a developmental guy, I'd like a 7-footer that can step out on the floor and make shots.
Yeah.
I love Dennis Smith, the kid at North Carolina State. I'm not a huge Fultz fan in terms of his work ethic. I had some friends that worked him out, and they said, tremendous ability, but he's lazy. Lazy bothers me.
Yeah.
But then I watched tape on him this morning, and he had 3 plays where, like LeBron, chased the guy down and made a block. So it tells me it's in there.
Right.
Got to get it out of him.
Right.
So I don't know. Lonzo Ball, if you go back and chart every game, first of all, his dad.
Did you see his little video on Twitter earlier today? His, it's officially draft day. It was like half sing-songy, half like a rap lyric or two.
Lonzo?
He did this really, Lonzo did this really weird spin move into the camera. It just I'm cheering for that kid, right?
I hear he's a good kid.
You want him to overcome the idiocy of his father,
Right?
But something about him just strikes me as talking about kids who are more about the hype than the work ethic.
Well, if you go back and chart every game, he has made. How many shots do you think he's made that weren't a 3, a dunk, or a layup this year?
Very few.
6 the entire year.
6 total?
6.
Yeah.
He made
Holy
6
cow.
mid-range shots. Everything else was a dunk, a layup, a little floater at the basket, or a 3.
Wow.
I'm just telling you, you cannot survive in the league unless you develop a mid-range game.
Right.
Now, he's got ability. So those 2 kids at the top could be stars. You're rolling the dice, though.
Yeah.
You are. Josh Jackson, big-time talent.
Yeah.
Josh Jackson, wouldn't that be nice?
Would love to
No,
get
I mean, people are talking about the Bulls trading
Josh
up
Jackson's
into
like Scottie
the
Pippen.
top 5, but what we've heard is that if the Bulls trade up into that top 5, obviously, yes, they like Josh Jackson, but they're talking about De'Aaron Fox. He's a talent, but he's the one top-tier point guard in this draft who can't shoot. What do the Bulls need? A point guard who can shoot.
Except John Wall, his second year in the league, was 3 of 42 from beyond the arc. And he's now developed into one of the best point guards in the league. You're not going anywhere next year anyway.
Right.
So maybe it takes him a couple years. That kid has want to,
Develop,
he has quickness, and he's smart.
Yeah. Well, 3 hours away. 3 hours away from the NBA draft, will we figure out what the hell it is that Garpax are planning to do for the Bulls next season?
Yeah, I tell you what they're going to do. They're going to take some kid at 16 from a small village in Oslo, Norway that you've never heard of, and we'll see him in 3 years.
And
right.
we're certain they're
There
going to
we
take
go.
Iowa State point guard Monte Morris in the second round, right? That's a given?
There you go.
All right. He is David Kaplan. You can catch him pre and post, Cubs pre and post live on CSN Chicago, Sports Talk Live weeknights, ESPN 1000 Cap & Co. weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon. His book, The Plan, get it on Amazon, correct?
Yeah, BarnesandNoble.com.
Barnes & Noble, bookstores everywhere. Signed copy we'll be giving away later today. Cap, appreciate the time, man.
Thanks for having me,
joining
guys.
us.
I'm the first guest
First
ever in here.
in-studio guest here at Sports Mockery Studios. Special episode of the 312 podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Take it easy.